and later I'll be taking you to my guests in the show so that we get started on that matter. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Exactly. I'll start with Madame to give the introductions and then we go on.
My name is Rino Solberg, and I am the founder and managing director of Child Africa.
Exactly.
We basically work with children in Uganda.
Exactly. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
My name is Rino Solberg. I'm the husband of Julie, and we are both founders of Child Africa and have been around since 1991.
Exactly. These are officials from Child Africa, husband and wife, and we are privileged to have them here working with the children of Uganda. Giving us a little bit of your work here in Uganda, particularly in which fields have you been?
Well, we have been in raising children, and we work with the children. We put them through education, right from baby stage until they finish university.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like how many children have you so far helped here in Uganda?
In Uganda, we have approximately about 800 children. Yeah.
Exactly.
And we also have Child Africa in Kenya too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Chairman, and so how did you come up with this idea of ensuring that you handle the young generation? Why not other groups of people?
No, we have to focus on what we are doing, and there are bigger organizations than us who has more money and can build more schools and do more things on that issue. And we are not into education as such and building schools for too many children. We have to focus with the money we have to do the best we can. And because of that, we think that if we focus on teaching them honesty and integrity from babies up, then we will have really great people coming out from the university with the characters that really stands by and can fight corruption. Exactly. So we believe that that's the only way to do it long term. It doesn't happen overnight, but we have to start, and we have started.
In the fight against corruption, which testimonies have you got from children, especially the young ones?
Well, we started in 1991, so we have children that came to us around 5-6 years old, and they have now passed university. So in fact, and we can prove that it works because we can see the people who have been living with honesty and integrity and build their own character by years. Then when they finish university, they have it in them and they will fight for being honest.
Exactly.
So they can stand up, and also we are working very hard on the personal development of the child. So because we think it must be a strong child or a strong person to go against corruption, because the forces are strong everywhere. So we have to take it from the bottom up. That's the only way.
Exactly. Madam, you will be free to explain to me the Bingwa initiative in the fight against corruption.
Yeah, Bingwa is a very beautiful magazine, and this magazine, we actually initially had the idea of having publishing this magazine because we found out that the reading culture, especially in the rural areas, was very poor. But we are now using Bingwa to fight against corruption. So we are using this magazine and writing about corruption, but we are writing it in a child way, you know, how the children can understand, and putting up like what we do in our schools, in the baby class, in nursery, we do plays, you know, the monster who is corruption, and all the children try to find this, to fight the monster that is destroying their country.
Exactly. Any addition to what she's explaining? Actually,
we have made you can see, if you can see from this, you have the map of Africa here with all the values in Africa, and you see the big monster here trying to grab Africa away from the children, and that's called corruption. That's to make a note of, so the children understand that this big monster that they have to fight is called corruption.
Exactly.
They don't know what corruption is before they start talking about it this way. So the Bingwas, which is Bingwa means champion in Swahili. So the Bingwas, the children, they are the one who fights corruption. So that is what we are going out and tell them, that the big monster that they have to fight is called corruption. So when they hear corruption, then they understand what it is.
With media studios, I have officials from Child Africa. Their initiative has been on fighting, sensitizing the young generation on how they can be people of integrity, how they can grow free from corruption. And all this is a campaign to ensure that the society out there joins the campaign to fight corruption. Analyzing some of your elements, telling us much more about the families of those children, where they're coming from. Which type of families?
These are families, very, very poor families, and orphans who are in our schools. But of course, we also have other children who are able to pay their way. But mostly, Child Africa is an organization to help poor children. And unfortunately, like you were saying, that there's so many children growing up, the youngsters, and they truly believe that they cannot make it without being corrupt, without taking money from here and there. And they don't understand that this is very short term. It is not a long-term thing. So if they want really to put their country in order, it has to be corrupt-free. If they want to eliminate poverty, they have to get rid of corruption, because wherever there is corruption, there is poverty.
Exactly. Analyzing on what she has just said, society, how has society been impacted according to your survey in Africa here or in Uganda? Which impacts have we really realized as a result of corruption?
Well, if you're talking about how bad corruption is in Africa and in Uganda in particular, we have been around here for 30 years, and we have seen that it's really crippling the country. For example, we have been to court cases through the years here in business and different things, and it is unbelievable that a country can operate with a law system like this. When you come to a court case, for example, then it might be 10 court cases or 10 people sitting there waiting from 9 o'clock. The judge is supposed to come at 9. He or she will come at 10, 11 or 12, if at all. And then when they come, they just have one thing in mind, to postpone the court cases because they have no time to do it. So it's ridiculous. For example, in Norway, where we come from, then if it is a court case at 9, everybody is there at 9, and the judge precisely at 9, the court case starts, and it's one court case, and they run that court case, whether it takes a day, a week, or a month, until it's finished, and then they close it. Here, nothing is closed. You know, it goes on for years and years and years.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
Not only that, but files get lost. You see, files get lost.
Court cases get...
Yes, suddenly your file is nowhere to be seen. And I mean, we don't really understand it, because how can a file get lost and then suddenly it appears? When things are put in place, then it appears. The land issues, everything, there is absolutely, when you go to lands, we have something, when we go to lands and somebody endorses, that lands is a place where you're supposed to go and make sure that whatever you're going to buy is genuine, right? Exactly. And the commissioner endorses and says it is genuine, and you buy, and then suddenly you find out that there is it's not genuine, or there is something that has gone on. So we have experienced a lot. Exactly. Our children are experiencing a lot in the universities.
We are analyzing corruption cases, and much emphasis has been put on issues of court cases, for example, files getting missed. Most of their testimonies are coming up about files getting missed, maybe judges coming late to hearing of cases, and sometimes when they come, they postpone, they say, I'll come next time, come next time. Somebody stays in prison, maybe in prison for quite a long time, even when he may not have committed the crime. And this is as a result sometimes of corruption. What can we do here in Uganda, for example? What are some of your recommendations? I'll start with the chairman.
When we are not experts, I have to say that we are not expert on fighting corruption today as it is, because we don't have the money, we don't have the knowledge, and we don't have the time. So our way of fighting corruption is only through the children. We start with the children and hope that 20, 30 years ahead, they will have changed their country. However, if you want my advice on one thing when it comes to corruption, since I have been here for so many years, I was the one that took ISO 9000 quality standards to Uganda. I was the pioneering here. And standards, quality standard means you have to have procedures in place, systems in place, people in place to implement the systems. That's what's lacking here. So if you want to have corruption under control, first you have to put the systems in place so people cannot be corrupt, because today when everything is manual, it's hopeless. Then it's up to the people in charge to do what they want with the file. The file gets lost all the time until the money is there. So that is why if a system is there and it is online system, a computerized system, then they cannot be that corrupt.
Exactly.
So it will help. Although that is not our job to look into, because we don't, like I said, have any possibilities of doing something. My way of thinking is that, or working rather, is that the corrupt people today have to be fought by the government itself here. They are the ones who have to take charge.
Political win.
Yeah, the government have to take charge, put things in place, and with help from organizations and countries abroad, that will be okay for them. But systems must be in place. If not, there's no way that you can fight corruption.
Thank you very much. His recommendation is ensuring that we have systems in place here in Uganda. Sometimes it becomes very hard if some people, there's intrigue somewhere, somebody takes over the duties of the other, automatically end up in problems. To the young generation, how have you been doing it, sensitizing them and making them grow corruption-free?
Like I say, we do a lot of. In our school, we also have a subject called honesty and integrity.
Honesty and integrity.
Yeah, but with the children in nursery, we do plays, acting, and in that way you said. And I do a lot of pep talks and a lot of seminars to the bigger girls and boys, so that we put this, we genuinely tell them there is no way they can get the big success. It is very important, whatever success you get, that you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, yes, I did it, and I did it with my sweat, and I did it myself, without going through, corrupt means, which I don't understand what values the corrupt people carry to their country, or even to their own children. See, so it's a big problem.
How do we change the perception of the youths? People believe without corruption, society cannot go on. How do we change that perception?
No, like she says, we start with the small kids and playing, and they are nice people and bad people. So of course the nice people gets the good thing, the bad people gets the bad thing, end up in jail and so forth. So when we after them ask, which one would you like to be? It's obvious they will then be the nice one, because that's where the good things is. So that is why that we are doing it this way. But I think the most important thing, in order to get a corruption-free world as such, is to build the self-confidence of the child. And that my wife is very good with, because we have done a lot of things that really builds their self-confidence. Singing, dancing is obvious here in Africa. Everybody likes to sing and dance.
Exactly.
But they do it in a good way, and they perform and we praise them. So we build their self-confidence in any way we can. So that is the starting point of everything. If the self-confidence is not there, there is no way they can do it. And we are teaching simple things as body language, for example. The way you walk, the way you behave, that is actually showing what you think. If you walk tall and straight, then people can see that here is somebody who's forceful, got self-confidence. If you walk slowly, they say, oh, what is this? And they override you all the time. But if they are strong children, they can stand up for themselves, and then they can be fighting the corruption.
Exactly.
And they understand that that is the best way. And we always emphasize that, to start with, that you have to give in order to get. It's not that you get first and hope for the best. No, you have to give. And that is part of the whole life. It has always been like that.
You have to give and then you get.
Yes. Well, it's simple from the Bible. And in fact, we are using also a proverb from the Bible, saying that install in the children when they are small whatever you want them to become, and they will never forget it when they grow old. So that is Proverb 22:6, and it is simple. That's the way it is. You and me and everybody who believe we have a good quality integrity, we have got it, in fact, mostly at home or at school when we were small, and we still remain with it.
Exactly. Here in Uganda, young children, for example, undertake campaigns at school. and already corruption has manifested itself. They bring the sweets, they bring some things to entice the younger ones. They bring Jolly Just, they give their children to become head prefect. How can we change that way of life?
It's very important to tell the children not to do that. I know they tried to do that in our school, and I told them, no, you're not doing that. You have to stand up and to campaign for yourself. In our school, we integrate deaf children. And we have this boy called Didi, he's deaf. The other are speaking children, and we have some who are deaf. And Didi, they were doing campaigns. Didi wanted to be a prefect. So he comes to me and he said, you make me a prefect. And I said, I'm not going to make you a prefect.
But it need to be automatic.
And I said, I'm not. Because he felt that he was different because he was deaf and he couldn't speak, so he couldn't campaign. I told him, there is nothing wrong with you. Did he have confidence in yourself? There is nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with you. You campaigned like anybody else. In the beginning, he was a bit annoyed with me. But then I said, I can give you the tools. I'll give you the tools, but you do the campaign yourself. So he says, okay, give me manila paper and marks, it's markers. I bought him as many as he wanted and markers. And he campaigned, you know, he wrote and he campaigned, and he won. I've never seen such a happy child and a smile. I told Didi, what do you feel inside you? And he said, it's like heaven, I feel so great. I said, how would you have felt if I'd just made you a prefect without you working for it?
Exactly.
And he said, I don't think I would have felt the same way. So it is very important right from the beginning to show them the way, the path. And I don't like these sweet, sweet things. That is where it starts from. Actually, in the campaign, in the schools where they give sweets and they buy sweets and give each other so that you can campaign for me. We don't allow it in our school.
We are analyzing the fight against corruption. They have officials from Child Africa, the chairman of Child Africa, and then we're analyzing this issue. I was in Makere yesterday when they were swearing in, and I was shocked to find that one of the members of the guild, those who are appointed a minister, is a person who is disabled, cannot see. She went and campaigned. Let me have those, they'll get for me those issues from Makere University. Maybe in the news they'll get for me those in the Makere University in Wanawali, and then we see exactly in Makere University we had somebody who cannot see becoming a minister for disability in Makere University after campaigns. But in many areas we have seen sometimes the administrators interfering into the students' affairs and sometimes determining who to be the next guild president, who to be the next minister without having campaigns. And even sometimes doing campaigns, bribery of voters among other issues. Let's have a look at that and then later I'll be joined back with our guests in the studios.
What is key to my agenda right now is dealing with the issues of meals and issues of the 10% proposed progressive increment. Those are some of the issues that I'm looking at. But currently, just of late, we received a security problem in the Makere University, of which that needs urgent attention. So we might hold on with the others as we push for security first. Yeah, because we need to be alive to achieve the others.
What is your call to those who lost during the elections?
My call to them have to work together. Politicking and looking for votes is done. It's right now the most important thing.
Exactly, we're in Makere University where we saw campaigns taking on. And students coming to campaign free and fair. If it wasn't because of the Electoral Commission was fair, automatically maybe the result would have turned the other way around. We have had it somewhere. People putting in their money sometimes to campaign, and later we see maybe the Electoral Commission interfering with the results, and this ends up causing demonstrations and strikes. And I have people who have been dealing with the youth, dealing with the children, to give us much more overview over this matter. Let me first get the caller, and then later I'll be joined back with my guests in the studios. Rino TV, hello. I'll be getting that call on 03122 11657. In case you have any question, you have any recommendation on what they have so far said, or anything that you want to ask, automatically will go ahead and call us on 03122 11657. Analyzing the fight against corruption here, we have had cases of, especially among the mothers.
Yeah.
those who belong, for example, those who are children who are not theirs by birth, or maybe they're just stepchildren, sometimes favoring the other side. And what is your take on that?
Yeah, we try to educate, and indeed, I have seen so much of it here that it has shocked me sometimes to see that you're talking about stepmothers, stepmothers, and we have in fact as Child Africa linked ourselves to a singer who is called Maurice Hassa, and he sings this Kaleke Kasome and and then he sang a song, a very good song with our children in Kabale called Lwachinze, and it means why me? This child, the video was taken with our children where we are trying to show that children are children, and the step parents who are doing so much bad to their children, to their stepchildren. It's unbelievable because I mean a child is innocent, and a child, if you go as a stepmother and marry a man that you have fallen in love with, you should automatically fall in love with with his child.
But here in Africa, it's hard.
It's very, very hard. It's unbelievable. I don't understand it. What we have been doing is we have been promoting these songs of Maurice Hassa. You see, as singers, people have a very, very big impact on what they give out. And some singers don't understand this. Some singers sing very bad songs, you understand, which gives bad attitude to the youngsters. And some sing good songs. Now, when we sing these songs educating the stepmothers, educating parents in themselves, educating the sugar daddies who are going after young kids, you see, all these, a song can travel miles and miles in a very short time.
Exactly.
And we are doing the backing of all this with educating parents, educating all this, and to find harmony between a stepmother and a stepchild.
Yeah. Actually, singers, I think they have got something here. We have had people like the radio, and we have sung something about corruption, and that has been a very great song that has been on Uganda's many of the radios regarding corruption. And such messages can really help to change lives and change lives of majority. Let me get that caller on 03122 11657. Then later I'll be joined with our guests. We are analyzing the fight against corruption, starting with the young generation. Actually, was commenting on something, and particularly was asking for you, for example, the donor countries that give money to Uganda. How particularly are they working ahead to see that those, when they send us money and we misuse it, that we are punished severely? What strategies have they done that side?
Well, like I said, we are not the expert on these things, so we have to be careful what we say there. But from the personal point of view, I think that the donors, when they have given the money, they sort of stop following it up. They should have done a lot more follow-up. You know, if you ask me, although, like I said, I cannot prove how much they are doing and who is doing what and so forth and so on. But I think that if they give gifts to a country to country, it must be based on criteria, and definitely it must be to take away corruption. That is the prerequisite of the whole thing. But you know, these things we really don't know. But when it comes to giving money as such, personally, I'm against pure charity, except for in catastrophic things. Then it's obviously needed. However, I think that sustainability must be behind everything one gives. And it must be based on business principle also. And that is why myself, I have a company called Better Globe, and we are working with planting trees, engaging thousands and thousands of people in the years to come to plant trees and eradicate their poverty that way, so they can become strong people. So we think that giving money as a gift should not happen, because it will only corrupt. Because I think that the people here in Africa are smarter than the givers, wherever the money comes from. So when the money arrives, they have already found a way to spend it. So I think that it must be based on business. If you have business principles, behind everything and sustainability, then it is better to give people to entrepreneurs. An entrepreneurial interest would be much better, the way I see it.
So you advocate for self-reliance here in Africa?
Yes.
Exactly. You also commented on the issue of punishing the corrupt. What strategies have you been using, do they use in other countries in punishing the corrupt? Here in Uganda, sometimes the corrupt go free.
Yeah, but you see, that is also the big problem. When it doesn't matter, even if you have a system in place, and if you don't implement the punishment, then it is no use. Here, nobody gets punished. You know, well, when I say nobody, that might not be the truth, but at least it is difficult to punish anybody, and nobody takes charge. For example, like I was mentioning, the courtrooms here are hopeless. If you don't even, when the judge comes at 1 o'clock when he's supposed to be there at 9, and nobody is punishing him, and if the opponent they use it, I have seen it several times, they just don't appear in court. And then of course the other party is not here, the
So
lawyers are not here, so we postpone. They use that as a way of postponing everything. So they should be then judged. If they're not there, make a judgment against them, and then they will never ever not appear in court.
Exactly.
It's very simple. I mean, it should be so simple to put things in place. The job is to implement the enforcement of it. That is the big thing. Here, it doesn't seem like, to me at least from outside, it doesn't seem like the implementation is working.
Thank you very much for that comment. In addition to what he has just said?
No, I totally agree with him, because you see, when it's just like running a company. When you have your policies and people go against them or they break them, and then they get no reprimand, nothing is done to them. This is sending a very, very bad message to our youth, because it is sending actually a message that even though I go and I get a job and I steal a little bit of money here and there, it's okay, because nothing will happen to me. You understand? So if people who were corrupt really did get their punishment, everybody else, they would show, that this is the way it's going. So if you're going to do something, watch out.
What recommendation of punishments do you give, especially here? Sometimes people have proposed confiscating of property, others have proposed maybe life imprisonment, all this. What are some of the recommendations of the punishments?
Well, I don't know the kind of punishment that you can give here and will give here, because I don't know the law that much. But obviously the most important thing is to implement something. If a policeman is corrupt, let him go to jail, or at least he have to pay a fine. Let's start with the simple things. Here you can see the bodas. They are thousands and thousands of them. They are crossing the line every day. They are doing the wrong things. The policemen, they don't even open their eyes. They let them pass on red light. Nobody cares about it. If it was me, I would stop the first one, take him and say, listen, we will confiscate your property or your bicycle, and you go to prison, or you have a fine, whatever. At least the fine must be the way to do it. So then that rumor will spread so fast, like a wildfire, to the others, and they have to implement it. But today nobody does anything, and nobody cares. And that is the biggest problem here in Uganda, after being here around 30 years. They don't care. And so it's not my table, so it doesn't really matter. And
this thing of saying, this is Uganda, relax,
this is
Uganda. But you can't go on saying this is Uganda, people come late, it is Uganda, people do corrupt things, it is Uganda, this is Uganda. If everybody goes thinking like that, there will be no change. We need to change the attitude. And the biggest problem, actually, you can change a country, buildings and all that. To change attitude takes time.
Exactly.
And it is what we need to do, is to change the attitude of the people.
We are glad you are watching Huge On Air, broadcasting live in the studios of Rino TV. We are analyzing the fight against corruption. Some people have taken it as for granted and say, this is Uganda, the judge must come late. This is Uganda, the guest of honor must come late. This is Uganda, the teacher must come later. Everybody leaves the other to do the things their own way, and this automatically keeps us into the ditch of corruption, and society is affected. We'll be having callers to give us your comment, recommendation, or questions regarding our topic of discussion. Much has been proposed regarding corruption. Some want us to neglect the corrupt. They are saying, let us neglect them on occasions, let us segregate them on burial, let us segregate their children and choose them. Is that really applicable? Some people say that when your father is corrupt, we have maybe your father stole 500 million. When you're at school, we should show it to you, the child. Is that?
I think so. I think so, because they should really show the bad ones as a bad example, so people understand that it does not pay off to do these things. And in fact, when it comes to choosing people also, like my wife said also, today a minister can be chosen and he's been promoted because he has stolen a lot. I'm not saying that everybody's doing it, but if he has, they say, oh, he's got a big house, nice car, he's got everything.
He's favored by life.
He's a smart guy, so we have to vote for him, because then maybe money comes to us also, which is of course wrong. And I think that I have written a book called Put Integrity First, which is a free book.
Put integrity first.
Yeah, it's a free book, and anybody can download it from internet on africaintegrity.com. africaintegrity.com. It's free, and you can read it. And I have my 10 commandments of integrity there.
What are some of these?
Well, you know, it's like all these 10 commandments, each thing that you have to look into in order to get integrity. Of course, honesty is one of them, and being precise, being on time is one of them, and be trustworthy is one of them. So I think that if we, let's make it simple. If we had, for example, 10 commandments of integrity, well, you have the other 10 commandments, not to compare it,
exactly.
but the 10 commandments of integrity, they say that, you know, the one who, let's say we have a list, and you see, now this one is from 1 to 100 or 1 to 10 on this and this and this, and we use these kind of things to elect and say, yeah, this one, he's got integrity, he's got 10 on this, 5 on this, and 2 on this, whatever, so he should be a good one. I'm just using it as an example. You must find ways, criterias, to say this is a good person, this is a no good person. Not I like his face and he's getting money and all these things. It must be based on systematically criterias to evaluate them.
Thank you very much. A glorification of the corrupt in Uganda has been one of the major problems. When they come to church and they donate something, people just clap. Little do they know that this is from their own. When they come with good cars, expensive houses, we just praise them. For those who have not achieved anything, society will take you as a failure. They will believe that you are just inheriting poverty, that those ones were made to be poor, and therefore you will not be recognized. And when people come into offices, automatically they have to get corrupt in order to ensure that they also amass wealth in the short run. In the analysis of corruption, we are saying that it is everybody's role. People are saying they should give up. People believe that this fight can never go anywhere. And whenever you start a show on corruption, they say that is just. What is your take?
Everything has to start somewhere. You understand? Today, if we had given up, we would have given up on a lot of things in life that you see today. There are lots of things that are difficult, but somebody has to start, you know, start campaigning and start, you know, putting things on the right path.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'll be getting callers on 03-122 11657. Honorable Reverend Father Simon Dokodo says that he is attributing corruption to moral degeneration, and I don't know how true that is. Any take on that? That's Father Simon Dokodo, Minister for Justice and Integrity, says corruption is as a result of moral degeneration in society.
Yes.
Do you agree with him?
Yes, I do agree in a way that it is, because it's like the values. You see, you have to build values in children from young age, and those are the values the children carry with them. But today, when families don't have values, they have become like dysfunctional families. When you don't have parents to give you those values, you see, as a child, as a little child, who do you value? Who do you look up to? It's your mother, it's your father, it's your teacher. You understand?
Exactly.
And these are the three main people in your lives. These are the people you look up to. Now, when you look up to a parent who has no values, who doesn't care, and this is what they're teaching them from young age. And it is true. We need to go back. We need to go back and appreciate and put values in our families.
Exactly. Justice Ogola goes further and says that the corrupt suck the blood of the unborn babies. Is it true?
Well, I can't analyze that and say, but it seems that it is at least something which is bad, and I think I agree with that. So, you know, I would like to say one thing, and because here in Uganda and many other African countries I've been in, it's success is equal to money. To poor people, successful means having a lot of money.
Yeah.
I would like to say that the most people who has ever been the most successful, they are the people of value. And you see, instead of aiming for success, aim for becoming a person of value. And that is what we are teaching our kids to start with. Don't think about the money. The money will come when you become a man or woman of value. Because then the people will be attracted to you, whether you are in business or society. They will like to work with you, be with you, stay with you, and help you. So if you can aim on becoming a person of value instead of the success factor, which is money here, then I think a lot of things will change.
Exactly. And once again, now they're talking about issues of us having value, then many things will change. Analyzing corruption, Honorable Miriam Matembe, former minister, one time said that here Ugandans have failed to become hungry on the corrupt. At the moment all of us become hungry, automatically things will change the other way. And he says that the corrupt are as greedy as the grapes. I don't know how true that the corrupt are as greedy as the grapes, that they can never get satisfied.
Yeah, it is true, because once you are in that system of corruption, it's like you never get enough.
To make a deal of 500 billion.
Yeah, then you take that, but another deal comes and you still want more. You see, there is nobody who stops in one. They continue. Because if you get easy money, they get easy money and they are not punished. So they continue. You understand? It's
In addition?
Yeah, there's one thing that we have to talk about also, and because he talks about when people don't have money, they are willing to do all sorts of things. And it's obviously corruption and poverty comes together.
Exactly.
They are like brothers and sisters, where one is, the other one is always. And in all fairness, I understand, and I, you know, have seen when people don't have food at the table, I can understand that they would steal something to get food on the table for the children. So that's understandable. But when people have things in place, then there's no reason to be corrupt, and it's because they have lost their value. That's the reason for it. But I think that in order to fight corruption, you have to fight poverty too. So that is why we are working very hard on entrepreneurial attitude for the people. For the young, we teach them how to make business, how to think about business, honest business, and long term, not short term. Because any business which is successful will be always.
You can't fight corruption when you are poor.
You cannot. You have to start fighting poverty, and that means putting systems in place, putting business in place, putting, for example, a country like Uganda, one thing that will help corruption in the long run, I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight, but industrialization. For example, I've heard Museveni say several times that we need to process our products, which is absolutely the truth. Every product that could be processed should be processed in Uganda. That is something which will help, because more people will get jobs, more people will get money, and then they don't have to be corrupt. So you know, it's not that it stops overnight, but you know, each things follow another. So corruption and fighting poverty must go together. That is what we are teaching also. And our dream is to have, in fact, our legacy, if money comes after us in the tree planting business we do and long-term thinking, that will go into a foundation of building university for entrepreneurs, to teach the African entrepreneurship in the school system, because things will eradicate poverty and in turn corruption also.
Thank you very much for that. He says that with the fight against corruption, you must also be having the entrepreneurial abilities required so that you can at least do some business, because somebody will bring a deal. When you have nothing, automatically you can get involved in corruption. But if you have something you're doing and you're earning, automatically you automatically desist from taking that money. You call us on 03122 11657 and give us your recommendation and question regarding the matter. We are analyzing the fight against corruption in the country. Rino TV, hello. I'll be getting that call on 03122 11657. Here in Uganda, mothers have greatly been affected, and maybe some people have not known the end impact of corruption. Some people believe that some corruption somewhere may not have an adverse effect. How does the common man get impacted with corruption at maybe at a higher level?
Well, obviously everybody does, because if money has come in for a certain purpose and it does not reach that purpose, then obviously it affects the people. I know, like you're saying, even in hospitals, it is unbelievable what you find in hospitals, where you find nurses that are sworn in, or doctors that are sworn in to protect you and to look after you.
That I'll do my work diligently without...
Yes, and when you come in and you cannot pay, you cannot give money, they leave you there. They don't care. And this is heartless. I really don't understand what has become of the people. What has become of the really heart feelings that they really don't care. So you have mothers who have just given birth, maybe with a cesarean section, and they just...
Nobody's caring.
Nobody. They just put them on the floor.
He has been giving a recommendation there. Let me first finalize your issue, and then I will comment on his recommendation.
Yeah.
You have finalized the issue of mothers who are dropped down and...
Yeah, mothers who are put on the floor after cesarean section, and it's really hurting, because if this mother cannot pay anything, they stay on the floor.
You have lost many mothers in the result.
Yeah, they stay on the floor. Now, where is... when I talk about this thing, I get very emotional, because I feel that the hospitals are there for everybody. And you have obviously the private wing where people can pay and they go. But it's still, there is a general wing where people should get the respect and that kind of value, at least to feel that they are valued as human beings. Excuse me, Ugandans, what is happening? You know, these are mothers, these are children. They are giving birth to children. Could be your mother. You understand, at the time when they give birth to you, what is going on?
Exactly. Commenting on the caller says that they don't care attitude, especially for government property. Do you think, how do you think we can roll out this?
No, I really don't know much about it, so I don't think I should...
Most Ugandans, for example, government vehicles and public ambulances are used for other personal business. Somebody does not mind about, says this is not my property, it's just... Yeah,
but that is, generally speaking, that is the case in everywhere, where you get something free and you don't have to work for it. So it's not any value on it, so you don't